Good morning, friends. It's so good to see you this morning. Although I am really bummed that we cannot meet face to face inside of the church right now, I think it's really important to remind you that all of us are the church. We are a body, not a building. So we will get through this, and I look forward to the day that we can all worship the Lord together again in the same space. But in the meantime, in the middle of all this change that we're facing, I'm just very grateful for a God who never changes. And I think that's so important for us to remember, is that He never changes. And for the blessing of technology, so that we can do this, and that I can talk to you and share experiences together with you during this time. So today I have a challenge for our children, and I want to challenge you to look for items around your house to form a Lent in a bag. So to find items around your home that symbolize or represent the season of Lent that we are in right now. All right, so the first thing that you need is a large bag. And this bag is going to be your actual bag that your items or the contents go into. So whether that is a brown paper bag, like a brown lunch bag, or a plastic grocery bag, or a gallon size Ziploc bag, any will do. So it doesn't matter what kind of bag, but that will be your Lent in a bag. So all of your items that you find will go into this bag. But the items, keep in mind, they're not that big, so you don't need a huge bag. All right, so the first thing that you will find, I want you to see if you can look around your house for sand or dirt, and you're going to fill it in a sealable baggie. So it doesn't have to be a large baggie. It can just be like a snack size baggie, but you're going to fill it with sand or dirt. Now I wonder what in the world Miss Katherine would be asking you to go collect sand or dirt for and put it in a bag. Well, the sand or the dirt that you find and collect, that represents Jesus going into the wilderness for 40 days. So the sand or the dirt actually represents the wilderness, and he spends 40 days in the wilderness. So during those 40 days, Jesus, he fasted, and which means he gave up things, he sacrificed, and he resisted Satan's temptations. Is there something in your life that reminds you, or that is like a wilderness? And have you learned something there? So something that is difficult or challenging, that's kind of like a wilderness, that you are wondering, like, am I ever going to, get through this or get past it, or am I ever going to be able to do it? So have you learned something while you're there? And what might you learn there if you haven't experienced something like that yet? Because I assure you that it's probably sometimes in your life we're going to experience those things that are more difficult and that are more challenging, and that if you're going to question, God, where are you during this time? I really need your help. And I, for one, can say that that's happened many times in my life and through my adulthood. And that's where our faith kind of comes into play, that we know that, even when things change, that God never changes, that he is always there. So I want you to find your sand or your dirt, whatever you find that you can put into this baggie, and think of the wilderness that Jesus spent 40 days in, and that he fasted or sacrificed and resisted Satan's temptations. All right, so you have your first item that's going to go into your Lent in a bag. The second item that you're going to need to find is, and I know you all can probably find this around your house with no problem, is a rock. So you will put the rock in your bag too. So while in the wilderness, Jesus was invited to transform or to change stone into bread. What in the world? He was asked to do that, to change stone into bread. However, Jesus did not come. He did not go to be served. He came to serve others. And that's why it's so important today that that we encourage you, that your church family encourages you and your family to serve others, and not yourself. So Jesus does not live by bread alone. So is there a stony place or a rocky or a hard place in you maybe that needs transforming, that needs to be changed, something that you're working on or trying to get better at, or maybe you are working on, listening to your mom and dad and doing what they say, even when we don't want to do it, and we think that something else sounds a lot more fun than doing what they ask us to do. So even though Jesus was hungry, he resisted. He didn't give in to that temptation that Satan tempted him with, to turn the stone into bread and to eat it. So even though Jesus didn't eat, he fasted for 40 days. So I'm sure he was hungry, right? Even because Satan tempted him, he didn't do it. He lives and we live to be obedient to God. And he showed that obedience when he did not transform the stone into bread. So he did not listen to Satan, and he was obedient. He listened to God. And that's why it's so important that we are also obedient to God every single day. All right, so the third item, you have your sand and you have a rock. The third item that will go in your Lent in a bag will be a human figure. So I had to brainstorm what might we come up with to make a human figure. So 3 things, and you can choose which one you want to use. You can use, the first thing, you can use a pipe cleaner. So if you have some pipe cleaners at home or in your playroom, wherever you might keep some craft things, you can ask your parents if they might know where a pipe cleaner is. You can wiggle that around and transform it or turn it into what looks like a person. So give it some arms, give it a head and some legs, and that can be your human figure. If you don't have pipe cleaners, maybe you have a clothespin, and on your clothespin you can draw, like with the Sharpie marker, a face and a smile, and give it whatever you want to add to it, to the clothespin, to make it look like a person. And if you don't have either of those items, not a big deal. It can be as simple as a sheet of paper, and you just draw your human figure on the paper, and you cut it out, and there you go. You have that. So a clothespin, pipe cleaners, or just a sheet of paper and a pen or marker, and you can create your own human figure. And so the human figure is a reminder that Jesus, he gets it, and he gets us. He understands us from the inside out, and he knows from experience that we are capable, that you are capable of great and awesome things, godly things. So no matter what we do, he keeps on inviting us to join his work, always. And that work has become our own. So I want you to think about the Christ who lives in and through you, especially during this season of Lent. All right, so we have our sand, we have a rock, and we have our human figure. So the fourth item, which is our last item that will go into your bag, is a candle. So this candle does not have to be large. It should obviously not be lit, of course, and it can just be a smaller size candle that goes in your bag. And you can ask your parents if they have one in their cabinet. I'm sure that might be something that they can find, some sort of candle, any size, but obviously not lit. So I wonder what the candle might represent. Let's think about it. Well, Jesus is, according to John's Gospel, the light of the world. The light. Jesus is the light of the world. And that light insists that you are the light of the world. So Jesus insists. Jesus says that you are the light of the world, and to not hide. Don't be hiding. So friends, where do you shine? And who do you shine upon? How do you keep your light lit? So this kind of reminds me of when I tell you guys on Sundays, to go fill a bucket, and don't forget, we want to fill each other's buckets and not tip each other's buckets. Well, in order to keep filling others and to fill their buckets, we have to make sure that our bucket is pretty full, because we're not going to be able to fill other people's buckets if we don't make sure that our bucket is full. So this is the same kind of thing with the candle or with the light. How do we keep our light lit so that we can shine it onto others? So one way is, to read our Bibles and to pray and to go to church. Those are great ways to fill our buckets and to keep our light lit. And by being obedient like Jesus was, being obedient to God and to our parents. So these were 4 reminders that I want to remind you of, to keep close by during this season of Lent. And you can keep this to help you remember all of these things and how special it is, even though we're not able to meet face to face. And to close up, I just want to say that we at St. Luke United Methodist Church, that we want all of our children and their families to know that we are praying for you, and that we love you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in person soon.